This is Brandon from Watches on You. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Oris Divers 65 collection. And as you can see here, we have three beautiful Oris Divers 65 watches. This is a 40mm, this is a 42mm, and this is a 42mm as well. This one obviously has a green dial, this has a blue dial, and this has a black dial. Now, this watch is available in a variety of case sizes, dial colors, strap options, and actually case options as well. As you can see, the 40mm case design is slightly different from the 42mm design as well. So for the remainder of this review, I'm actually just going to stick with the 40mm watch. And right away, I just wanted to note we're here at JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who is a newly authorized retailer of Oris watches. They just got these in probably about a week ago, and I'm really excited to review these. So if you're in the Minneapolis area and looking for an Oris, you know who to find. I'll be leaving a link in the description if you want to learn more about these watches than the extent to which I talk about in this review. So now let's get started right with this watch. So as I said, this is the 42mm version. It has a slightly different dial, as you can see, than this is the 40mm version, sorry. It has a slightly different dial than the 42mm version that you can see here. And there's also other dial options that you can get. There's very special editions. There's, I know this isn't a dial option, there's actually a two-tone version of this watch that looks pretty cool. But we didn't have that yet, seeing as these watches are very, very new here, and I'm sure they'll be getting them in the near future. So now let's jump into the rest of this watch. So all the Oris Diver 65 watches have a Sellita SW200, which is fairly common. It is the same movement that's actually used in the Oris Chrono Oris date, which I actually just reviewed. And I think that that movement's fine. The power reserve is only 38 hours, so that's something to note. I tend to prefer watches that have 48 hours or above, so that's something important to keep in mind when you're considering buying one of these. Also, another thing you should consider, these only have 100-meter water resistances, so they shouldn't be used for pure diving. You'd probably want to use an Aquis or something else from a different collection if you want to do some serious diving. It's definitely more of a heritage piece and celebrating their diving heritage. As you can see, there's sort of a vintage logo on the case back here, so they're all pretty much heritage watches. But that being said, the quality is absolutely superb. I love the unidirectional 120 click bezel on this watch. It's got a very nice click to it. Now this is going to sound like an insult, but I'm not meaning it at all to be an insult. It feels a lot like the Casio MDV 106 bezel if you're just trying to get a feel for it. We reviewed that on the channel. I know many of you guys have them in the audience. So that's kind of what it feels like. That's actually a compliment if you don't have one of those watches. They're absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend one. But obviously this is an automatic watch. It's a much different caliber than that watch. But I think that the bezel is absolutely fantastic, as I said. So it's got a screw down crown. So with that water resistance rating, I would be willing to bet that this can go 200 meters underwater. I wouldn't take it that deep. They're not going to guarantee it, but I definitely would probably say that's possible. One other thing that I like about this watch is the domed crystal. That just again plays into kind of the heritage theme of this watch. It looks fantastic on camera and plays with the light brilliantly. It does have super luminova, so the lume is very, very bright. Now I'm going to move on to a wrist shot, and this is the just pin buckle clasp. It's all of Oris's pin buckle clasps, so I've experienced a lot of them recently, seeing as there are a lot of Orises here in the shop. And they are all of very good quality. I was very impressed by that. So, as you can see, this watch it's 40mm. It'll look good on pretty much anyone's wrist. I'll do a wrist shot with the 42mm version shortly here, just so you can get a glimpse of what that would be like. But this would look good on, anyone's wrist, really, unless it's super, super big. But then you can just get the 42mm version, which looks pretty similar. So I'll try that on. I'll go with the bracelet so you can see that. It's got a very nice bracelet. It is very high quality. Again, Oris does everything of very, very nice quality. it's just the movements, and they don't really drag them down. I mean, they're much less expensive than other comparable watches of this quality, but they're not using in-house movements on a lot of their watches, and that makes them more at an affordable price range. So the 42 millimeter, it also would look pretty much great on anyone's wrist, but if you have a really small wrist, you'd probably want to go with the 40 millimeter. But if you like this video, please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you.